The mountains of Arizona were dyed golden by the setting sun. Jack Reynolds walked towards the town's animal shelter in his worn-out military boots. The sound of the soles of the boots hitting the ground was like measuring the weight of each step taken in the 2 years since retirement. The void left by the military. Having tried countless jobs and treatments, but always like an unhealed bullet wound, Rex the German Shepherd, who once stood side by side in the hail of bullets, lost contact after retiring due to injury. Behind the rusty fence of the shelter, the smell of disinfectant mixed with the barking of dogs hit you in the face. Jack came at the suggestion of his sister Emily. She firmly believed that another dog could make up for the wounds of the war. Walking through the narrow cage passage, some dogs wagged their tails and barked wildly. Some had melancholy eyes. But all lacked the sharpness that Rex once had. Just as he was about to leave, the administrator pointed to the corner and said, "There's a German Shepherd behind. It's a bit special. Faded metal." The silent gaze of the war dog in the deepest part of the cage. There was a big black and brown dog curled up. The posture was stiff, as if in a state of combat readiness, yet the eyes were shrouded in a layer of wariness. Jack's heart suddenly beat faster. That body of hair, that old scar on the tip of his ear, it was clearly Rex. He trembled and called his name softly. The war dog slowly raised its head, but its gaze was like that of a stranger. It didn't wag its tail, nor did it pounce. It was only an empty indifference. It ... "You don't recognize me anymore?" Jack stepped back half a step, and his chest felt as if it had been cut open by shrapnel. The administrator explained in a low voice. It was found in a small shelter in another state. The original owner thought it had anxiety disorder. Jack stared at the scar on Rex's hind limb, which was the mark left to protect him during the Kabul explosion. Now it seemed as if it didn't recognize the person who had guarded it with his life. Unopened cartridge cases, the reproduction of traumatic memories in the activity area proposed by the administrator. Rex always kept his distance, and his ears were tense when sniffing. Jack crouched down and imitated the commands from his training days, but his voice got stuck in his throat. He recalled the scene during a patrol when Rex pulled him back from the radius of the IED explosion. The feeling of his canine teeth biting the tactical vest still seemed to be on his shoulder. At this moment, the eyes of the battle dog made him suddenly understand. They all carried invisible wounds. It's like unexploded dumb bombs buried deep in their souls. "I'll take it home." When the setting sun sank into the desert, Jack's decision was unquestionable and resolute. Rex in the back seat of the car looked out of the window. The profile of his side face looked particularly solitary in the twilight. Jack saw its tents back in the rearview mirror and suddenly realized that this reunion was not a unilateral rescue, but a mutual salvage of two wounded souls. The rusty dog tag. The reboot of the loyalty contract. On the first night of the week, Rex huddled in the corner of the garage and turned a blind eye to the military cans that Jack handed over. One stormy night, Jack was awakened by a nightmare and found the war dog squatting at the bedroom door with suppressed sobs coming from its throat. That was the unique comfort Rex had given him when he sensed his anxiety in the trench back then. He tentatively reached out his hand, his fingertips touching the still, quivering muscles beneath the dog's fur, but Rex did not dodge. 3 months later, Jack took Rex back to the Veterans Center. When the war dog skillfully sniffed out ammonium nitrate from the simulated explosive, and when it voluntarily rubbed against the trembling veteran's knee in the PTSD support group, Jack finally saw the long-lost light in its eyes. One day, while sorting through old things, he found a worn dog tag in the iron box that Rex had brought over. It was secretly stuffed into Rex's collar when he retired. With the words engraved on it, Aries K92739 lived and died with his owner, Jack Reynolds. The way home of molten gold, metals growing from scars nowadays under the setting sun in Arizona. One can often see veterans and battle dogs walking in the desert. Rex's steps were no longer stiff. He would pause briefly when encountering passers-by in camouflage uniforms. And Jack's eyes had also shed the emptiness of the past 2 years. They found the map of their return to the human world in each other, scarred. The loyalty that was not destroyed by the explosion. The silent gazes when they met again in the shelter, all eventually turned into the golden sunset, transforming the smell of war in the past into the lingering warmth of redemption. What do you think is the detail that touches you the most in the story of Jack and Aries? Leave a comment to share your thoughts. Subscribe to the channel to see how they overcome trauma together and reignite the comradeship.